Afternoon, guys. Fraser here from Never Surrender Outreach Team. Thought I would do a video, and I did say I was going to do this. And basically, um, people know me, they understand that I'm actually 6 months in 2 days' time in recovery, which it was a long road to get where I am today. And I'm sure people who have been following me will see that and the hurt and pain I caused everyone. I'm doing this because there's not many folk that will speak out about the experience, because they feel embarrassed, they feel it's weak. I'll tell you, no, it's not one bit. And today, getting the message, I woke up and hearing about the two suicides in the veterans community. And first of all, my condolences to everyone and the family. And it hits home for me, things like that. When I was an alcoholic, and some of the decisions I made to try and take my own life, and because I thought it was the best way out, and I did. I got to a stage where you were crying out for help. You could said hitting them in the face, NHS, whatever. You would ask for the help. The minute you're labelled as an alcoholic, their rights are waved off. And my alcohol dependency started from, well, they always say it maybe started from childhood, because my dad was an alcoholic. My childhood was not the best, but my mum was a rock, and she still is today, and I'm lucky to have that after everything I put her through. I've never done this for a massive group, so if you don't understand me, I'll try my best, go a bit slower. But yeah, by 2010, 11, the drink started hitting. I went to combat stress, diagnosed with PTSD. I was only there for, I think it was about 2 years. That was at Hollybush. Met some great guys there. And then obviously my drinking started, and then I got discharged from combat stress. And it became a treatment centre then when it came in the 6 week instead of the 2 week residential. I met my partner, well, not my partner now, but my child's mum. I met her in 2007, and everything was going well. But then Tiana came along, and she was my angel, like, her name's printed there. As time progressed, around about 2010, I was a witness in a shooting in Glasgow while I was at work in Asda car park, and it really fucked me up. To be honest, it really did. My life after that went downhill. I split up with Andrea. I hit the drink from like 2012. Shamelessly, I ended up in trouble with the police. Was caught on camera. I was on cocaine, and every day I was on cocaine, and I was on drink every day. I needed that drink, and I needed it to clear my mind, my emotions, my anxiety. It was only fine, like having that one feeling, but it only lasts for a certain amount of time till you get that dependent. But in 2012, that's when things started to get out of control. People are already aware. I have not kept this back from anyone. 2014, I was outed in the Daily Record for being a racist thug, which I'm absolutely not proud of. That happened in 2012. I'm absolutely ashamed of it, and at the time I didn't take responsibility, which I should have. And obviously later on down the line, I think it was 2018, I did. but it was still not good enough. I still couldn't make amends for maybe the hurt or distress it caused people that day, because it was on telly as well and it was on the BBC. And I'm not proud of that, and it's obviously been used against me in the past, and I wish I could apologise to this gentleman. I do, because I'm not a racist one bit. I'm not at all. And I'm not going to sit there and blame alcohol or drugs. I never did at the time, and I'm not going to even blame it now. It was my actions. It was my selfishness and my ego. And I've got nothing to defend what I done. But it wasn't for a few after that I had been arrested, and I was put on a curfew, but my drinking was getting out of control, and I kept breaking my curfew, and I think I broke it about a few times, and I ended up in Balliny on a 6-month custodial for breach of bail. Again, I wasn't proud of it, but it kept me off the drink, believe it. I know what prisons are like. You can get drugs, you can get anything, and I didn't touch one. And I done 6 months, so came out, and I was back at square one. I had all this money saved up, and I had LIB money and obviously tax money I had from my previous employment. But after that, my life just went out of control. I moved back down to Ayrshire around where my mum stays, and yeah, the amount of shit I put her through, stealing off her, shouting at her, swearing at her, being deceitful, lying, and that's to all my family and to even people I know. You know, it's hard now to understand that. It's took me till going to THH, it's Tom Harrison House, and I'll get onto that in a minute, to understand my amends. This is all here, is all my work I've done in Tom Harrison House and making amends and so on. But what I'm trying to get at, I came out and obviously binge drinking started to daily. I think it was 2015. People think your body gets used to alcohol, and when the body, it's the same with drugs, if it gets used to it, you might not want a drink, but your body is telling you to take a drink. And in 2015, I went down the road of going cold turkey, which I knew nothing of. I didn't know about alcohol. I wasn't even admitting to myself I was an alcoholic, and I wasn't taking responsibility for my actions at the time. So I had went cold turkey, and I took a really bad psychosis, alcohol psychosis, which is actually known by DTs. And for 5 days I was running about the fields as I was hallucinating, and the hallucinations still affect me today. And probably the first time I've told anyone in the veterans community. A couple of friends know about it in THH, but in the veterans community, I seen my grave getting dug, and I was going to hell. I was getting punished, and I had all my organs taken out. It was crazy. I could feel it, and you're probably thinking I'm fucking crazy right now telling you this. And part of my work in therapy, I even call myself a freak talking about this, because that's how it felt. If nobody has that addiction and they don't understand what you're going through, then they're not understandable. So when I'm sitting here telling you, right, they're taking my organs out and all that, it's fucking real. It's real to you at the time. That's what psychosis does, and that's what alcohol does. And mixing that with mental health is not good, and it's not. I've experienced it, and I would not wish DTs on anyone whatsoever. And when I had that experience of DTs, I was scared to drink. I was absolutely scared to stop. In fact, if I put it that way, I couldn't. I didn't want to because if I stopped, I thought that was going to happen again. But it was getting out of hand. It was getting out of hand, and my mum paid, I think it was 2016, she paid 10,000 and to go into private rehab. And I thought I did fine. I thought I did, and I came out. But in that rehab, they were only dealing with the effects of alcohol, and I can sit here and tell you the effects of alcohol is, and everybody knows it, you know. But I wasn't honest with myself in that place. I wasn't dealing with my underlying issues and so on. But then I came out and I lasted, I think it was till 2018, December 2018. I lasted. And I relapsed. And I thought I knew it all, and I did. I thought I knew it all. And I didn't. I went into bars, and then the bars turned into drinking non-alcoholic beer, but you're kidding yourself on doing that because you're going to end up in beer and so on, and the spiral effects, like you back on the cocaine, which I used a lot. Shamelessly, I used it in front of my mum, which I'm not proud of. It's hard, like, talking to a screen here, and I know people's going to be watching this and trying to get it out, and I've never done a share in AA. I've been asked doing it, and at the moment I'm just not competent enough, so I'm doing this to try and help me as well, and hopefully that and pass this message on to someone. To have an addiction is one of the hardest things for an individual, not just for me, but the people around you and the circle. I mean, it's just a spiral effect, and you do fucking stupid things, to be honest. I mean, self-harm, committing, taking overdoses and so on. And I think I pushed everyone to the limit. I fucking did, man. People tried to help me, like Sadine and that, and to be honest, they took a step back, and that's fucking what I needed. Bella as well, she was always there for me. There's a few folk, John Coops and that, and there was people there, but people then, being an alcoholic, and I see it now, because how much I am passionate about recovery, and I'll get onto that as well. But I had to find for myself when I was going to be surrender. You probably heard any whatever 12 steps, whatever higher power, right? And I was shit feared about the God stuff and so on. But anyway, even through that year, so 2019, that was a killer. I relapsed, and they always say to you, your next relapse is going to be the worst. So it was March 2019, I was diagnosed with acute pancreatitis. So the warning signs for me was right there, and I fucking thought I knew it all. I fucking did. I thought I knew it, and still continued to drink, still continued into trouble with the cops, still hurting people, still fucking abusing people's trust at the time. And still people were trying to help me, but I was manipulating so I can get my own way to get the drink and so on. So it came about December, and December time I was actually diagnosed with chronic pancreatitis. With alcohol and drugs, your liver can repair itself if you had to stop. Chronic pancreatitis is totally different. There's no reversible. There's no cure for it. And it's something I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life. And it's like a lottery at the moment. With it basically means you can't you don't produce enzymes to digest food. You're on numerous amounts of painkillers, Creon tablets, Ensure drinks, and fuck me, I do not wish pancreatitis on my even my own worst enemy, you know. And having pancreatitis if you think fucking breaking a leg is sore, wait till you get pancreatitis. And people are on this and have had it, they'll tell you the exact same. Having DTs, I wouldn't wish it on either. Even having withdrawals, it's not pleasant either. But I was diagnosed with chronic pancreatitis, December. I continued to drink. It was the 15th of January I surrendered. I went to the GP. I had told them my signs, my symptoms and all that. And I was drinking every day. I was waking up 3, 2 in the morning. In Scotland, the licences is not open till 10 o'clock. And the only time I would go out, I was never eating. I never had a proper meal. I couldn't keep it down. Even drinking that first can just to get rid of the shakes and all that, it just made you sick. And I tell you, I used to cry even having the first few cans because you didn't want it. You certainly didn't want it. But your body's telling you otherwise. And trying to tell people who have not experienced that is so hard. And it is. And why I do this kind of stuff is because people can relate on it, and people then hopefully will open up to ask for help, you know. But it took me, chronic pancreatitis, times in prison. I mean, that was 10 years of hurt. I haven't seen my daughter, which I deservedly don't, because I chose drink and drugs over my own daughter. But I was never involved with social work at that when my daughter never was. And a few other points as well about addiction. I went into a relationship when I was a year clean, and I was with a partner, and I'm not going to name or say what. A couple of folk know this story, but basically one of my ex-partner's kids had to have medical help, and because they took my name, and I was stone cold sober here, by the way, and because my name, they had to take people who was there, had flagged up as a high risk, and so police were called, and all of a sudden I get arrested, because I was an alcoholic, and because of my PTSD, and they also put it down to personality disorder as well. Unbeknown to me, which I would find out later, that Adult Protection, who in 2016 had an emergency meeting behind my back, which I've now got a contract offer, they actually put a contract into my notes, which I know it's happened to other people, that prevents you from treating it. So if you were to turn up at A&E, you would be turned away. So basically, you wouldn't get any help or support whatsoever. And that's what you were facing. Even when you were sober and trying to sort your life out, this is what you're up against. So basically, I'll go back to this incident. So social work got involved, and they actually removed the child from her mother because of my addiction. I've never done anything in my life to fuck me, not a chance in hell, you know. I've got a daughter, and I would fucking hate anything to happen to that, you know. My daughter, I would hate anything to happen to her, you know. But it made me feel like, fuck me, you hear paedophiles getting this and all that, and I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, I'm an alcoholic, but I'm sober. So why is somebody getting punished for my actions in the past? Do you know? And for 3 months they went through, I think it's a child protection. So basically the child was not allowed there when I was there. And I'm just hearing recently, and my friend Bella's been sharing an experience with social work, but there's people actually coming up as well who are alcoholics with post-traumatic stress, that social services will take their kids off them. And I experienced that, and I actually ended the relationship, so that didn't happen. But it was hard to actually go through. The fact is, you done everything, you done your treatment, you were sober, you were trying to lead a normal life, but then again social work or the authorities stuck the boot in because of your past history. And it's frustrating, and that's why I went back on the drink after, and I was like, what's the point? And you feel so fucking, how would you put it, frustrated that you're asking for help even though you turn you away. So January, I picked the phone up. I knew about Tom Harrison House. I was meant to go there in May, but obviously I wasn't ready. And I picked the phone up and said to them, listen, I want to get in. So in that week, all the process was done. I'd done a detox in Kilmarnock. And I went to Tom Harrison House. And I'd done a 12-week programme. And fuck me, I'll be honest, like, folk who know me, I've done loads of detoxes and nothing to be proud of. But this was the fucking hardest. I mean, that's just my life story in 15 pages. And I had to read that out, and it was the first time I ever done a life story. And it fucking crippled me. But we got to 8 weeks, and yeah, I was getting a lot out of it. So basically, Tom Harrison House is the only veterans rehab for addiction in the whole UK. And basically, they treat the addiction, but what also they do is they treat the why you drink. And a lot of rehabs don't do that, because if you can tell me you've met an alcoholic or an addict on drugs who enjoys doing that, potentially self-harming, because it is self-harming, in my eyes is actually suicide as well, because you know the fucking risks. And that's being honest, and I'm being true and honest here. It is suicide, it is lethal, it is a drug, at the end of the day. And I think it took me to 2 months ago to say I was an alcoholic, because I was calling myself an addict, because I believed alcohol was a drug. But alcohol was my main issue, and I needed to accept alcohol, and me just do not accept each other. And I couldn't drink anyway now because of my condition. But I'd done the 12 weeks in Tom Harrison House through lockdown, and it was tough. I'd done 8 weeks, the full course. The last 4 weeks was in lockdown on my own because of my underlying condition. The 4 weeks was a fucking roller coaster, and people again, like, who followed me in my journey will know I lost my grandpa. Prior to that, I had a massive pancreas attack which woke me up completely. That was the first pancreas attack I actually had sober, and the pain was excruciating. I got taken to Liverpool Royal, and due to my condition I get similar effects to COVID. So I was tested and I was pumped on morphine and put in the COVID ward, and what I seen in there, fuck me, if you think this virus is not real, if you've seen what I seen in there, you fucking want to be, trust me, you do not want to go down the COVID route. And I mean, I've heard people in the group saying this as well. They've had COVID, and the experiences, fuck, it was scary. And I didn't even have it. It turns out I didn't have it. So I got released back in. Because I was in contact, I had to be in lockdown for full 2 weeks. And in that 2 weeks, I got a phone call of my family, and to tell me my grandpa was going to prepare myself for my grandpa passing away. My grandpa was like a rock to me as a child. He always smiled, never had a bad word to say about anyone. So it hit me. And in recovery, you do a thing called relapse prevention, watch your triggers and so on. And by God, fuck me, I think out of 50 triggers, there was about 49 I had. And that's now, you know, I'm having triggers every day, but my higher power is stopping me for picking up that drink and opening up, doing things like this, talking, sharing on my Facebook and that. I do it because I want to help folk. I know what it's like. I know what it's like asking for help, and I know what it's like to fucking fail. I do not like seeing people get into a position where something bad has to happen. They have to take their life, or attempt to, or something else. You know, don't be afraid, because if you use alcohol, it's self-medicating. Don't be afraid to speak up. I know since I've done my posts on Facebook that people have privately messaged me, and people have gone to safety net, which is working really well, and it's helping a lot of people. And it's not just them. Like, you've got other groups out there as well, who are doing really good. Gary over at the Fort, Portsmouth as well, and you've got lots and people helping. Tom Harrison House is the main veterans one, and that's for alcohol and drugs. But as I said, like, my grandpa did die. He passed away, and I felt alone. I couldn't be there for my family. I couldn't, because of travel restrictions, and obviously I was in lockdown fully. So having to watch my grandpa's funeral, like probably many of you who've experienced this through lockdown, it's fucking tough. It is. And it can drive you up the bend, especially when you're staying in the house yourself, dealing with recovery, dealing with an illness, and so on. But yeah, I got over that, and I graduated in May, and I came over to Bridge House. So Bridge House is a sister project of Tom Harrison House, which has 30 rooms. His house is all scattered over Anfield area, and that's where I am today, doing this video. But yeah, Tom Harrison House saved me. And then I came in. When I said I came into Bridge, I've never experienced anyone in recovery passing away. And I know the family won't mind me this, because they've let me give me permission for other groups, but I got friendly with a friend. He came in my third week in THH, broken, absolute broken, just out of prison as well, court order and that, and the guy was just, he was a cracker, mate. He was from Manchester, down to earth guy. I didn't want to say boo to anyone, you know, but I think it was I'd graduated, came to Bridge, then I think he was on week 10, and THH gave him a time out, and he went and used, and I got a phone call the next day to say he had died, cardiac arrest, and he's a veteran. And he was the nicest bloke you would ever meet, you know, and it was hard to deal with, having to deal with that. And I was talking to the family, because I was close with this guy, and another client as well. We were close with him, and we supported them. And it was hard watching his funeral again online, so it was 2 funerals to deal with. And then obviously you've got your recovery to deal with. So I do 3 meetings a week. I do AA. I've got myself a sponsor. I know I don't know when anyone will get out of this. I'm hoping somebody will. If it gets to one person, I'd be really glad. But don't sit back and keep it bottled up. Be open. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It is not. There used to be this stigma around fucking alcohol and PTSD and all that. We need to keep opening up, and we need people that are brave enough to come on. And it's something I'm looking to set up, maybe a group on the Never Surrender, like maybe a Zoom thing. We can get veterans together who are looking to get into recovery, and round a veterans community, if you know what I mean. I have done it here in Liverpool, and it's actually running quite good. My friend done that as well, and it is really taking off. So I'm taking that idea and thinking about implementing it into this community as well. But addiction does not just affect you; it affects his family, loved ones, friends, and the people I hurt. I'm lucky. I'm fucking lucky after all these years of hurt and misery. They now start to come back and trust me again, but it's not going to fucking happen overnight. I mean, it's took me a long time. One thing we do at THH, and it was the first time I seen this, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? But it makes sense in what we do. Everything in THH is based around the step work. So it was my shadow. So you do this for your graduation. So I'm a shadow mission. So if anyone ever sees me in this, you can dig me up. It will create a world of dishonesty, manipulation and victimhood. I am worthless freak and disrespect my family, friends. I am living in hurt and fear and became powerless and unmanageable. I am living in an active addiction. So that is me and my addiction. And my golden, what we had to read out in my graduation. I create a world of honesty, acceptance, trust and hope by building possible loving relationships with my family and friends. By being open-minded and self-disciplined in my recovery and reclaim my honour. And, you know, I think I've covered quite a lot in there. I mean, addiction, I don't wish it on anyone. But there's groups here, and that's what we hear. I mean, like, these guys, Veterans Unite Against Suicide, Jim Wild and Jeff Williams are doing the fucking hard job of... I couldn't do what they do, honestly, I couldn't. And seeing their message this morning, it was heartbreaking. We had a meeting last week about how we could do things in the veterans community, and it was tough. I mean, we're hitting a brick wall here, and we do need to cover kind of addiction side of it, and this is why I'm doing it, because addiction does play in mental health. We all know that. Addiction can bring people up and back, you know, confidence and all that, but then it can be abused. To the fact is, if that's helping you, then if you're doing that daily, then your tolerance for alcohol, then you're dependent. So I do hope, I mean, there's loads of people I could thank, like, and they all know who they are. Like the guys that never surrender, Dean, Claire, fucking Davey, Digger, Rachel, Yvonne and all that. There's so many. I can say Jim Wild, Jeff Williams, you know, absolutely been really a big help. My pal John Coops. There's been so many. Specifically THH, they were fantastic in the treatment, and it was one of the hardest 12 weeks of my life, and it still is. Each day in recovery is not easy, and it's not going to get easy, and I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you and say life is going to be perfect in recovery, because it's not. You're still fighting that illness. It's a disease. The drink it's going to be around you. It's going to be, if you commit to a program to stop drinking, I can guarantee you'll manage your mental health. But till you get the addiction sorted, your mental health is not going to go away, you know. And since I've been in recovery, I've now been in 6 months. I have been through the psychiatric team now. I'm waiting to go and see them again. And everything, I've done EFT, it's a new therapy, really worth looking into. But you need to start finding, one thing about addiction is boredom as well. If you're bored, isolation and all that kind of stuff, that's why people drink, you know. But, I mean, listening today about the 2 suicides, and fucking heart just goes for the family and the friends of my brothers, and could have reached out or something. So I'm hoping this, just one person this could reach out to, and it doesn't need to be me you come to. You can go to anyone. There's loads of groups out there, you know, like Ampart Outreach of Never Surrender. You've got Safety Net as well. You know, that's a 24-hour crisis line, you know. If you wanted advice on stuff about Tom Harrison House, things like that, I can help and put you in the right direction. One thing I cannot do, I can't do your recovery for you, and I cannot tell you it's going to work for you, because what works for me is certainly not going to work for the next person. So I will do anything in my possibility, because I know what it's like, and I've seen what I put my family through, and I'm building amends with them as well. Like they're like truly proud of what I'm doing. And I had to move away from Scotland, so I gave up everything to come here in Liverpool, and it was the best decision I made. I surrendered. I finally accepted myself for who I was, but trying to bring a newer me, and not this person living in a lie thinking the world's alright, because it's not. But please, if anyone is struggling, and I beg you, please just contact someone that can help you, someone, like, just reach out. Don't get it down to the point where you're that desperate you want to end it. Please don't. I can't stress this. I'm highlighting addiction issues because addiction issues do play a massive part in suicides, and it's true. A lot of suicides happens with alcohol influenced in it. So I'm trying to break the stigma of people to open up. I've seen people in groups actually open up to this. This is a time that we all help each other out. 22nd of or August, we'll be in Nottingham. So if anyone's wanting to speak to me, then I will be there as well with Never Surrender. And there'll be other colleagues there as well from Outreach, and hopefully I believe Safety Net as well, and hopefully there'll be other groups there as well you can get contact numbers from. Any information you want on Tom Harrison House, there is a Facebook. At the moment it's on Facebook, and there's a website. It's easy to get. You don't need to be referred by anyone, you can refer yourself. And if you think you need the help, I tell you, think about it. Really think about it. And it's a big decision. And I've seen a lot of success stories since I've been here. Loads. But any help that we can do as a group, then we'll try our best. Like, we can't make promises or anything. And hopefully we can unite together, and I mean, it saves it a lot. Like Dean said earlier on about having a centre. Why don't we? You know, it's fucking the writing's there. It's all there in black and white. You know, Jeff, fucking Jim Wild, they've had it out for years now. You know, you see it here. For years they've been shouting about this, and everybody's hitting a brick wall. So and so, oh yeah, we'll say this. Now's the time we become as a group and come together. And don't be ashamed if you've got mental health and you've got addiction issues. Don't be. Because you're